So guys, I'm 37 now, big disclosure, brup brup, and it's taken me a very long time. I started really doing business in my 30s, so I guess about 7 years, trying to learn how to invest in property, how to invest in businesses, and I suppose that's why now I run multi-million-pound businesses and property portfolios. But if I had to give the 20-year-old Lesley some advice, this is what it would be. Number one rule, invest in yourself. So what I mean by that is if you have a passion, or it could be a hobby, or a certain skill set, I would say invest heavily into that. Now, for property, because I'm good at property, and I've had 2 business failures, by the way, before I was able to fully concentrate on property and understand that that's where my passion is and what I'm good at. I've probably invested over the past 2 years, about at least £100,000 into my own education, whether it be in business or property. So just to round it up, my biggest number one tip for a 20-year-old Lesley, and for those of you who are luckily still in your 20s, is to invest in yourself in every way possible. Now, tip number 2 is I would have a look to see what your hobbies or your passion or your current skill sets are, and try and make that into a money-making skill. So I'll give you an example. So the person that's filming me at the moment is my new videographer, James. Now, James has always been very good in IT, okay? And now he's ventured into doing videography, but he's proficient in lots of other IT sectors. Now, he's turned a hobby, which was, he knew he was good on computers and with computers and the internet. He's now turned something he was very good at and a hobby into a skill set, which is now making him money. So if you're good, for example, with gaming, okay, you could potentially turn that into a money-making skill set. And you must be thinking, oh, Lesley, how do we do that? So I would ask you, if you're particularly good at a particular game, let's say, is there anybody who would pay you a bit of money to learn your tricks and tips to get them to an upper level in that game? I don't know whether that's a bad example to use. Let me use something a bit more concrete. If you're good at baking and you can make cakes, okay? Of course, you can take that to market, because I'm sure you guys got other things going on, whether it's universities or other stuff normally. But of course, you could take that to market over the weekends to see whether you can make some money from it. Even better is if you launch a series of, let's say, YouTube videos or online course of showing people how to bake, therefore monetizing on your skill set that already exists. Now, how good is that? Now, tip number 3 is stocks and shares. Now, I can't comment too much about that because I don't personally invest in stocks and shares myself. I've got a student of mine, his name's called Sam Bradbury, guys, and Sam is 22, I think, and he's an absolute wizard with investing in the stocks and shares market. And he's a trader, basically, and he also helps other people trade. So have a look into that, because for me, I'm at that age where I can't say age, but I have no interest in stocks and shares. I would probably prefer to give Sam some money to invest with and play around with, to be honest. But if I was in my 20s, I would tell myself to have a look into learning how to be a trader, because when you're a bit younger, you can basically lose more, if that makes sense. And the reason why I'm saying that is it doesn't matter if you make more mistakes, because at my age, you've got a family, you've got kids, you've probably got a bit more to lose. But when you're in your 20s, and I'm very envious, you can experiment with much more. And I wish I experimented much more when I was in my 20s, but I was very studious. So stocks and shares is tip number 3 for you to go and have a look at how you can basically make your money grow quite fast. So tip 4 and 5, I've kind of intertwined them, okay? So tip 4 and 5, tip 4 is learn about businesses, and number 5 is learn about how to make money in property, which I'm a specialist in. So why I say these two are intertwined is because I have a property business, which is a property management company that manages all my, let's say, Airbnb properties. And that is also, as a result of that, I've managed to build enough cash flow to then invest into property, which is a more longer term investment. So if I was in my 20s, what I would essentially want to be looking at is e-commerce. Okay, or any internet related businesses. And the reason for that is because when I was growing up, yes, we had the internet, but it wasn't until I was in my early 20s, actually, it's a bit embarrassing, that I knew how to type properly. I went to university only knowing how to type with these two fingers. Obviously now I'm quite a speedy typer, but I had to go through a lot of training to get there. And for you guys, I'm sure that you are super duper typists and really good with technology. So if I was you and being super smart, I would be looking at how to make money from the internet, because it's literally, you can work from home or wherever you are and make money from that. My brother's done that, and he literally works from home. So how that ties in with property investment, I would probably say as a first strategy for you guys to get a taster of being in property is Airbnb. And literally you can either, if you're still living at home, persuade your parents to rent out maybe your spare room and you take control of that, and obviously deal with Airbnb online and see how that works. But just that one room can make you potentially quite a lot of spending money. Okay, and also more importantly, teach you about how to run a little business, because obviously you've got expenses you want to pay, you have to manage that business. So Airbnb is a great place to start, because you will need to learn how to manage property and how to run a business, and I think that's a great starting point and will serve you very well. And obviously it's great because you could potentially earn quite a lot of money even though it's one room. If you're at university, what I would do was I'd be interested in probably trying out. So you guys might be living in a shared house. So hopefully that's a licensed house of multiple occupancy. So you might want to, of course, rent out, take the property yourself, so it's under one tenancy, and rent out the other rooms to either your friends or some other university mates. So therefore, you're going to get a taster of how to run an HMO and obviously receive. So what you would do to get higher rents, guys, is obviously, not obviously, but you need to furnish your rooms up to a higher standard. Or if you're super cool and creative, you probably want to do a themed rooms in the house. But what the trick is that you want to charge higher rent than what you're paying the landlord. So give that a go, because potentially you can also earn quite a nice chunk of spending money there. So in a nutshell, guys, if you're in your 20s, you're super lucky. I'm very envious. Go and try these things out. Okay, so number 1 is invest in yourself. Number 2 is to turn a hobby or a skill into a money-making skill set. Number 3, have a look at investing in stocks and shares, maybe becoming a trader. You can do it from your phone. Number 4 and 5, invest into a business. Try and use the internet to make money, such as platform, such as Amazon, Airbnb, eBay. And number 5, try and invest in property.